Hello, hello. It is great to be back. I haven't just taken the time off, but I also traveled and it was a good thing. So, getting back into routine and seeing if I can remember how to do all these things, kind of make you laugh sometimes. And, how do you get started again? How do you get, I'm already in the mood. I'm ready. I missed you all. And, we just like it to be go smooth, but is it going smooth as we'd like it to? That becomes the question. Let's see. So give me a shout out to let me know you're here. Um, let's see if we can get the other things up. We're going to talk about some very specific things. I teach a lot about spirituality. I teach a lot about healing the emotions and helping that change your thoughts, the mental thinking. Okay. Um, but I was so focused on this that helps change your personality. And it's important for you to understand that as you become older chronologically, you also have to remember you're not just a human, you are a soul too. And to have a better, healthier life, one needs to be able to reach in to themselves and realize there are personalities that we had come into this world picking up and it needs to be transformed. Why? Why would you need to transform your world? Is it to be just happy? Well, I don't think it's just to be happy. I think it is much more than that. And what do I mean by this? You actually help the planet. You help the consciousness. You are consciousness and you help wake up others. Why do we need to wake up? Well, that is so we can evolve back to joy, back to love. And we do our best every day. But what gets in the way of our happiness? What people? Not necessarily. We need them to see what we're mirroring, what we've learned, the unconscious programs that one can't see for themselves. And it is important that we wake up today, and your way of giving back to the world, as everybody else seems to be, following the day-to-day news or just the mumbo jumbo of your life every day. Well, every time I put my hand to my head and use hope therapy, success hope therapy, or every time I tap using EFT or many other tools, I'm measuring, learning how to look at the emotions, look at the thoughts, and see how negative they are, and say, do I really want to feel or be negative? Do I really, really want any of this to be like this? And for so long, you wake up and you do the same routine every single day, and you got yourself memorized by the age of 30. And by 30, you're meant to wake up even further with your soul. And it's no fun to go to sleep and wake up, do all your stuff, and you age chronologically. You may decide that, oh, I don't have time for this or time for that because I have so many other things to worry about, so many other things to do. Well, here's the problem is that you're just being human. And that doesn't, seem to be a good thing, is that if you're just human. Does anybody know what I mean by that? I got a new camera set up, so I'm trying to get all the cameras to fit at once. So we'll see how this works. And so give me a shout out, say hello, let me know you're here before I go any deeper on these issues. So you may be waking up and you may say, that, okay, I want to be happier. I want to worry less. And you start working on your emotions and your thoughts, and you do your best to be a good person and do the right thing. But we don't realize that we can't see something. Everybody else can see it, but we can't see it. You know, what we did as kids is we learned how to make a comeback, you know, say these things to hurt you or to win a fight, or, you know, I'm right, you're wrong. And that is all ego living. That is all the personality trait of how you how you being. Do you understand what I'm saying? Hi, I missed y'all. And the one thing we do get caught up in when we're human is the feelings. How do we feel? How is it that we're feeling good one minute and bad the next? And overall, somebody says, how's your life? Great. It's not that we don't want to share, or maybe we are sharing, but at the same time, you are doing all things spiritually correct, right? What are these spiritual things? You may be exercising, eating right, maybe doing yoga, breathing better, and you may be, you know, using crystals and oils and everything that can help you on this journey. They're like the toolbox, but you have to be consistent with them, and you need knowledge to use them. But what happens when you feel like it's not working? Well, we have to look at your thinking. Well, I've corrected my thinking. I've done this, I've done that. But have you? Now, there are 8 very specific spiritual issues, because in what makes us a human being is that we have physical, we think, we have feelings, so we have the mental body and the emotional body, and we have a spiritual body. And if you look out through history, we give that away. We have somebody else tell us what it looks like and how to hang out with God, and that we have to pay. We have to pay. And a meme came up and it really surprised me. Is that, why, you know, the devil never asks for any money necessarily. No, not money. But God does. And I'm like, no, God doesn't. God gives. God is love. God doesn't punish. And as I went through my religious phase, and I decided, when it came down to it, when I started to really look at what spirit is, how to connect with myself, how to be in that love state, I had to be done with the church. So I kind of said, I'm done with the doctrine. I'm done with these 4 walls. I want to hear what my heart has to say. I want to hear what my soul has to say. And so now you got me at 58 years old, with over 30 some years of experience of understanding more about what spirituality is. And my main job as a healer is to give you information that you are not able to see at that soul level. And I've given you healing tools to help you to evolve out of certain stages, and to get you, so, you know, if you're dysregulated and you're emotionally, mentally upset, or you're physically this way, then I give you tools to help calm, to help you get back into these particular bodies, to get to your soul body and live through it as yourself, as your authentic self. But that means we have to overcome the personality. You've heard me talk several times about where our personalities come from. Let's see if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Someone says the ego says you've changed your thinking, but not necessarily true. Yes, and when you wake up to these things, then you will begin to notice in the moment, you're like, yeah, I've changed. But then when events or auto recall, automatic responses happen, or you still believe that it's okay to slight people, or because that's fun, or that is how you win, and yet you're saying yourself spiritual, but yet you don't have the empathy, or you don't have what's needed, because these programs that sit there. So you'd be operating out of two sides of your face, and that is a word. Okay. That's because it shut down. Okay. It's being very picky. So as you start to be in live action and you notice that you're really nice, and the next person comes along and you're taking offense, that can be a clue if you were aware that you took offense. That is your limitations. These are the things your soul is asking you. Can you heal it now? You couldn't do it then. You still have an attraction factor to have that alignment, to see that kind of person, to be repeating how you responded to this person before. But is it true that you want to do this? And if you're just looking through your face, which is another glossary term, yeah. But if you were to observe yourself being in the moment, you're going to say, no, it makes me look really ugly. And you have to wake up to what's being going on. And so as you begin to wake up, you start to notice, oh my gosh, I'm being gaslit. One person says, I'm tired of being gaslit. Another person, or you don't look at what you need to work on for yourself. Yes, because you can't see it unless you look in a mirror. And because nobody else walks around just with mirrors, meaning like this, there's a mirror, which is dirty. We walk around like this, but we look like this. And what we don't notice is the mirror effect, is that my inner world is creating my outer world. I can only show up to you only how I know that I've experienced, understood the emotion, understood how it felt. Maybe my safety, security, stability, sanity, surrounding in space, which is freedom, have been compromised. They're out of balance. And so I'm going to see you as the enemy. Because if I'm just being human, not my spiritual part, but just being human, I'm going to be in the over identification of what hurt me. And I'm going to be living by this over identification, and it's going to be fragments of the soul. And so, fragmentatively, I'm going to be looking and feeling and being this particular personality, while my soul over here is going, okay, that's what they're doing. But then when you wake up and your soul's urge is saying, okay, we need to be really over here, but you're still stuck way back here. And when you start to hear with your heart, and when you start to hear these higher vibrations, you can go, oh my goodness, you can become more aware. I just yelled and screamed. Boy, that felt good, says the ego. And spirit goes, and soul says, you can heal it now. How about now? You still want to keep giving your life force away to this? And you don't realize what that means is that karma is a cause and effect. No matter what, it's always happening. But the spiritual karma that you can't see is more of like an echo, which if you treat somebody badly and you don't get it back immediately, it's because how many times does it take until you see it? your spiritual self, to see it. And then all of a sudden, you see the behavior in somebody else, and you're like, oh, yeah, see, you should do that. But you still didn't see it for yourself. So the mirror is showing that's a one ring out or two rings out. But when you get caught on the video or you're on a recording, that is something that can wake you up. And so one of the jobs is that I tell people is to video record when you know that you think you're right, or you have right behavior or healthy behavior. And if you record yourself, you're going to look back at it. And if you look back at it through the ego, you're going to go, oh, what? And, and you're like, that was brilliant. That was good. Remember, looking through the ego, electromagnetic guiding omni apparition, mean you were identified with matter. Now you are that matter, and everything matters, and you have to protect, and you have to go through all these emotions. But when you look at it through your spirit, you're witnessing, going, I just yelled and screamed. I threw out energy. I did it to what? Hurt them because they hurt you, or that you need to correct them because they are wrong, or, so when you're looking at the mirror, one of the things I ask is, okay, so you just lost power in that moment to that person. Who is that person? And an ego, well, it's them. And you're like holding back because you're still being that personality. Your body's going to say, oh, I'm all upset. So it's going to feel like you have to do the right thing by not speaking up, or maybe you are speaking up, but it is energy. You're either going to be passive or very aggressive. And your body will start coughing or aching or hurting because you are trying to do the right thing, or you don't realize that you and the body are one. So I hope I didn't stop live streaming. We'll see in a second. I hit the keyboard. So if anybody can tell me if I'm still live streaming on YouTube, that would be great. So here we are. It's that mental issues, emotional issues. Mentally is how you can't stop certain thinking. Emotional is that the emotions just kick your butt. Physical issues, oh my God, I don't want to get out of bed because it makes me sick. Thank you. But spiritual issues is when you go down this journey to awaken, you are meant to look at, and I put them in 8 categories of conditioned personality patterns. Now, these are the things you can't see, but these are the things that others can. Oh, you're just like your parents. And you're like, no, I'm not. I take offense to that. But you will be, because you did monkey see, monkey do. So the first 7 years of your life, you are going to get passed down information, epigenetic information, what they've gone through and haven't resolved, you're going to repeat and see if it's your turn to resolve. And so you're just going to keep going on and on and on. Now, like I said, I've helped people. There'll be an emotional shit show. And all of a sudden I'll say, do use SP. Let's use these points. All of a sudden they go from to, oh, I feel calmer. But there's a lesson that still needs to be learned. Once you start getting calm, you can then begin to go question from the soul level. Why did I need to do that? What age? All of these other things, and you can heal. You can heal. But here is the thing: to really decide if you really want to take your spirituality further so that you become a spiritual human, you need to begin to address these conditioned personalities and their particular patterns. Okay, they're unconscious. Why are they unconscious? How did they become unconscious? because you didn't know what was going on when you were, 0 through 7, and you thought, okay, that's how you act. You may go, oh, I don't want to act like that. But then in a pinch and you have a situation, you're going to recall that and you're probably going to act that way without knowing. You may think that you're using different words or your different approach. The huge part was when I asked Spirit to help me to grow. And there is my kids, and I'm watching the behavior of, somebody, my family, and I'm looking at how the people interacted with my kids, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't like that, right? But I wasn't an ego. It was, I don't want to act that way again. I took accountability, knowing that certain words, certain physical actions, certain things can hurt love. Because I asked Spirit, I said, what is love? What really is love? And I'm sitting in a restaurant with my family and I'm watching how my kids are behaving very well. And all of a sudden, somebody was complaining, well, keep your kids quiet. And they were very quiet. And I'm looking at them because they're being quiet. I gave them something. They're playing. They're not running up and down the aisles. They're not raising their voice. They're giggling quietly. They know how to do all that. And pure love was happening. But the person I was with was very upset, was worrying about something, was on their mind, and they could not cope, handle, and deal with the love. It was too noisy. It was too much. And as Spirit showing me this, and all of a sudden I'm watching that they are supposed to shut down that love so this person I'm with can feel better. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do that to my kids. I don't want to do this at all. I want to know that I'm not shutting down love. And I would catch that I was shutting down love. I was catching all of these things. And I'm thinking, all right, Spirit, you need to help me understand how to change this, not spiritually bypass this. And so I spent a lot of time working on very specific emotions with specific patterns and specific things. And I would catch myself and I'd call my energy back. I just like, okay, I don't need to keep receiving this abuse. I don't need to give this abuse because the vector, the direction, the intensity needs to be really addressed. Okay. So you got to decide if you're going to be all in your head. Here I am, very spiritual, but inside you're stewing and brewing, going, grrr. You're happy, but you're going, grrr, dread, hate. Grrr. Everybody says, stop using the word hate. Oh, but if you're not in love, then you are only in the fear category. And when you are being negative, it's going to fall under the hate category. And you don't know anybody is around. You've had it. You've had enough. You're done, done, done. But if you keep processing, you can still be done without having to lose power. You can, yeah, I notice it's glitching and lagging because my lips don't match as I'm talking. I don't understand it. But anyway, that's also, it could be a metaphor because different personalities, different perspectives, different people watching you are going to notice that you're out of sync with your soul. Some people are going to go, oh my gosh, they're spiritual bypassing. Oh my God, they think there's so much of that and they're not even close to being that. Look how nasty they are. Look at this. Look at that. So what if you are doing your spirituality and you're doing it and this and that? But I have seen people be readers and they're doing light and love. And the next thing you know, they're like, oh, did you see that asshole? Blah, 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 blah. First of all, the attraction factor. Why would your soul show you your alignment? It didn't make it happen. The universe didn't force it. you're out of alignment with love. So you're going to line up with the very thing that's caused you to lose your life force. You have 100% of life force. That's all you get. And if you keep investing it in these negative unconscious programs or unresolved continued stories, I think you know what I'm talking about. Give me a little shout out about what you think I meant. So you got to wake up. And that waking up process is where, do I need to? Do I want to? And to survive high school or just school, being around people, are you going to get sick and hold back because you don't know how to speak up, or you don't know how to defend yourself, or you don't know how to do certain things? Those are all asking for your growth. I have had many people, as I begin to grow into my confidence, my way of being, and who I want to be, I first have to understand the templates to what I'm seeing. Did I want to be alpha? Well, that's what I was taught. But I can't. Well, do that means I have to be beta, passive, take it, or use passive aggressive to get my point across because that's the only safe way of doing it. But none of those can be in your spiritual growth. Sigma, integration, unity, applying your wisdom. Very good. When you are, somebody says, the negative things, question the negative things or people around you. Yes, because the environment that is in your space, the people, all of it can be very toxic. But do you need to have authority over that? That's why you see it. So you can have authority, be in control. That fear is telling you have to control. You have to control the outcome. You know their behavior. You're going to control the outcome. You're going to use sleight of mouth. You're going to use manipulation tools. You're going to be, but there is going to be a karmic kickback. Yes, it may be not right away. It will always be right away, but you may not see a very particular level. But if you keep doing something so far out of whack and the energy becomes very lopsided, depending on which way it's going in yin and yang, you will then have to decide to recall your power. And most people don't. It's not a common practice, but it should be. Because your energy you throw out there, and some people will trip and fall. Some people will get hurt. Yes, your energy can dominate a room, bleed on people, hurt others. That's the first thing we see and understand as kids is energy. We may not understand the language of English or whatever language you use in your culture, but we know what gestures are, the look, the tone, the feel. And they can hurt more than cleverly put words. Because you can't really ever be attacked because yin and yang are like magnets. And wherever one goes, the others go. And that karma keeps flowing, and no matter what. But if, let's say, the yin becomes very weak, okay, then it's going to look like the yang is very strong. It's just that if the yin wasn't weak, then they would be equal. And you can't ever feel it. You can feel attacked, but the yang isn't really attacking as much as you have yin that had become weak. And so you're only going to be able to see how heavy, how strong, how forceful yang can be. And it'll affect the way the energies of cooling or warming up. Your body then says, we're not going to be able to help you, you know. So you're going to have to get sick because yang energy is too strong and your yin is not cooling it down, not supporting, not anchoring, not working together. And that's just on the inside. And then when you see it on the outside, you'll see that you're out of sync with people. We could talk about this for a long time. Let's get back to what I promised. Now, there are very, like I said, I put them in 8 particular categories. And they are conditioned personality patterns. They are set, they are conclusion, they are automatic, you won't see them. An automatic response is something that you don't have to learn or memorize anymore because you've done it. And so you are the first artificial intelligence that ever existed because spirit is the operator, but at the same time, you're an ego. I've got this, I got this. You shut off your heart, you stop listening to spirit, and you got it all. So you're in automatic responses, and you're doing this and you're doing that. So they're unconscious. Other people can see them. Other people will feel them, even if they don't understand the pattern. But you may understand it because you experienced it when you were younger. So when somebody does it to you and you look at them going, oh, you're doing that. But where did you learn it first? Who do they remind you of? When did you take one of your 100%, maybe 10% of it or 20% of it, you designated to accept, believe, and keep giving your willpower so you keep repeating this conditioned pattern? And the brain is only making yourself efficient. It doesn't know that it's good or bad, but you wake up, you have to begin to say, oh, crap, I don't want to do this. So let's take the first one, attachment wounds. This is an attachment pattern. These are invisible fears that shape you, shape how you cling, avoid, shut down, or chase love. Your soul is trying to teach you safety from within. Okay. So safety, security, stability, sanity, surrounding space, that freedom, if any of these are compromised, then you are going to start creating a personality around it because it's survival. Okay, it's survival. You're trying to figure out how to function as a human in your world. Now, the second one is control strategies. These are ways you force the outcome. You're looking at the outcome and you're trying to strategize, or you don't like this outcome, but you're going to use your manipulation, your ways of being, your however, but you have to force the outcome, but you have to become dominant, very much dominant over these other energies. Instead of working together, you have to be dominant. So you'll have conversations, or you'll have, sleight of mouth can be funny, but it also can be very much the jokes. I used to be with people that used only humor to communicate, which caused me to, did I just get controlled? I was like, why am I responding? And then when you start to wake up as a soul and you're like, but I don't want to do that anymore. Okay. But anyways, these control strategies, they use pressure to feel secure. So you have safety and security right there. The soul is trying to teach you to trust. But if you're not going to listen to your soul, then you're going to live just as your ego self, your over-identification with matter, and you're always going to make everything matter. The next one is ego protection. This is very defensiveness, okay? Justification. If you hear a lot of people justifying their behavior, and there's non-apologies. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But, and then blame it on this, this, and this. Is where a lot of spiritual ignorance, spiritual bypassing. But if you are learning stages, you have to understand that if you are working inside and you want to be spiritual, or your soul says, yeah, you're going to be spiritual, you have to learn to forgive yourself, but you heal it, you correct it, you resolve to evolve so that you don't do these behaviors anymore. You have to be accountable. You have to learn. You have to understand. So if you're excusing away your behavior, and then the behavior just keeps showing up again and again and again and again, you don't know you're doing the behavior. You're not paying attention to why you're apologizing. And so you're not really being accountable, and everybody else will feel it. And this is where you can have fair weather friends. Look that up if you must. But your soul is trying to teach you humility and truth. Now, I don't know if I want to say your soul is trying to teach you. Your soul is saying, can you heal it now? Can we wake up now? Can we get our life force back? Can we? But we have to understand, we have been teaching that this is Earth school. So some language will involve that your soul did it. Blame it on your soul. But your soul is saying, well, it's time. I got the clarion call that it's time for me to go back home. It's time for me to return to love. And in order to do that, I have to see where my investments are. So I'm going to point it out. This is what you're doing. This is where you invested. You need to stop it. And the automatic response is, you have to wake up to the fact you're doing them. And the hard truth is, shit, I just did that. And I hurt another person. Now, if you're in the same spiritual language, yes, you can sit down and say, yes, I'm being accountable. I can see it. It's not my intention. It was an automatic response. That's not an excuse, but I'm aware what's happening, and I'm going to heal it out. So we have what? 1 is the attachment wounds. 2 is control and dominance behaviors, patterns. And 3 is the ego protection. But 4th is the emotional dysregulation. Okay, this is where I want you to learn about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. The spirals, the shutdowns, the retaliations, the bleeding on people, cutting comments, and fix my feelings patterns. Your soul is trying to teach you about regulation. So number 5 would be the communication distortions. Okay. It is conflicts in communication. And this is where we have to learn new language from the soul. And we have to learn to get on this bridge so that we are not keep repeating the over-identification and repeating this particular patterns. And we're hinting and sarcasm and triangulation and spiritual conflict and talking in circles. And we don't realize that we need to learn about clarity, to be more concise with our words, to pay attention to what we're doing. Okay. We have number 6, which is identity roles. And these are that whole realm of the archetypes. Caroline Myss is really good with that. Carl Jung. Okay. But victim, the martyr, the hero, the fixer, the perfectionist. But this is one thing I will tell you in what I've discovered is we're no longer doing in 3D the hero's journey. We're in 5D doing the healer's journey. And we're taking on this particular archetype that says, whoa. Okay, so I taught victim and I didn't know it. Now I do, and I can hear it, and I can be more conscious of it. But some people don't realize that this is the way they get things. This is the way they know what love feels like. This is all false self-assuredness. Well, we're going to be talking about those as well. And the 7th is relational strategies. This is manipulation, guilt tripping, gaslighting, conditional love, testing, emotional blackmail, love bombing. And what are you meant to learn from the soul is that to teach you the authenticity, right? Well, from the identity roles what you're going to choose, but then you're in this relationship role with these different identities, or you doing your best to learn how to become a healthier, authentic self. And it's about connection with people, but without control. It is learning to have these spiritual alignments, learning that you can go into the quantum field instead of just taking on all the negativity. You allow yourself to balance and get into the love of it. And as you do, other people are going to match and mirror you. The last one is shadow avoidance. This is projection, denial, minimizing, rationalizing, and my shadows made me do it. This talks a little bit more up on, like I said a little earlier. But you need to have integration. If you're doing these behaviors, is that you're having problems integrating. And you have certain personalities that are in conflict with one another. And so you're going to be stuck in the in-between. Or this is just a personality you want. But as you spiritually start to grow, and you don't want to be these things, you don't want to do these strategies to survive, you don't want to have to do this to get love, you don't want to have to do this because you have to control feeling. That's why I give you emotional tools. So the emotions, once they're taken care of, then the mental thoughts and strategies can become healthier. And when you're out of a shit show, when I'm using SP points and you have calm and clarity, you can move into, I don't want to do those behaviors anymore. So there's a lot we can do. Now I got to check my time, which I think it's time for me to get on with the rest of my show. So we're going to be unpacking these for the next few weeks, and be on this journey with me. Remember to like and follow so that you can continue with this journey with me. But these are very important. They are spiritual issues. And it's time that we become aware of this. Okay. Now, before I start getting people to come on to my show, or people that have paid to get healing or whatever, I got to check to see if there's anybody here. I know two people that are going to be doing live videos. So we're going to see where they're at, what their soul is asking, and go from there. But give me 1 second. I see we have, that's not that one. We have April Lynn, and then we have Autumn. Okay. So, like I said, I'm just going to look to see if there's any other questions that went along with that, with what the topic I was talking about. And questions are very important, because then if you need me to explain further, which again, we're going to unpack in the next few weeks to understand these, maybe get some healing tools with them. But it's important we begin to understand that these need to be addressed in order for your soul to grow, resolve to evolve, heal instead of deal. Okay. All right. Now, let me get this all set up. We're going to bring in our first guest, and that is Miss April. April, are you ready? Wow, somebody said while we're waiting, when you're in the thick of this, when you're in the thick of a shitty moment, your ego is going to want to be in charge and be in this control. And somebody says, when you call back your energy, it helps that person and the people that walk through that space. Yes, because when you are throwing energy, it will leave a plasma energy field. And I've walked through these things before, and my personality would change, or I would have a vision. 9/11 was the worst one. Somebody left their fear out there. I've had people send energy and attack, and what would happen was then all of a sudden I'd trip and fall, and I'd be like, uh-oh, I did not have my aura or my spiritual immune system strong. And because of that, I left myself wide open. But you can counteract, you can heal, and you can get in alignment no matter how people are angry. But if that energy stays out there too long, then you're going to start going deeper and deeper into the negative, which is something that I haven't talked too much about. But you must be careful, because you'll get into a darker, deeper, negative space from where your spirit is at, and you can linger in that space of hell. So then you're creating more hell on earth than heaven. All right, I got to find where there it is, my messenger thing. People. Keeping up with the way things are. There it is, moving. All right, I'm going to send the link off to her. And we're going to welcome our first guest. And just if you would like to come on and do the same thing, you can pay either $5, $15, or $25. $25 gets you onto the show so that we can communicate in real time. Okay. And what is that benefit of? Well, you're going to watch it and you're going to see what the benefits are, because there is instead of lag, which is what we're having on my one phone. I don't understand why. I might start this over because it's really bad. It's not going anywhere anyway, so it's not letting me move. While we're waiting for her to get on, here we go. Whoops. But I did miss you guys. Hopefully you've missed these teachings and this wonderful information. And why is that there? There we go. Here she comes. There she is. Now let's see if we got. Yes, I can hear you. I will have to turn it up a little bit. Sometimes I come in my office in the morning and turn it down and do work because I don't want to wake the whole house. And then I forget. So it was good to see you. I haven't seen you in a month.
Yeah. But I know you thought about me and I thought about you.
Every time yes, I have. Oh, wait a minute. My thing is making noise for whatever reason. How can I help you?
Just kind of a report card, what's my next path? Um Still and I'm noticing the different of the program thingy. I'm still on that balance beam, like, okay, I'm balanced over here. Okay, I'm not balanced over here.
Yep.
So one of my things, um, yeah, just some irritating things.
Okay.
And I'm like, why is this even irritating me? And then the program came back up. I need to search for another job.
Okay. All right. So in the past, you're a very dedicated, loyal person. You were in your one job for how many years?
At the hotel,
Yeah.
um 15, 16, 17, somewhere.
Okay. And you could see patterns, you could see conflicts, you could see all these things, and you had an opportunity to heal while you were working there. And then it was time for you to get another job. Is that correct?
Yes, but I had like probably 10 different part-time jobs along with that job.
Okay. So I'm looking through and you're learning to integrate. And so there's something that's stopping you from integrating in a particular way. So with that, this is going to sound strange, but with that, um, I wasn't ready. You do this to me, you do. I make your soul show up to say, "Oh yeah, you're ready to do the thing you're
I
ready to do."
volunteer.
I know you do. And again, I was not even going to talk about any of this probably for a good another month or two, but that's okay. I started to make my own medicine solution deck, and I got several of them. And so, with that in mind, I got to figure out how I'm going to communicate this. So this is we're just going to fling with it. Okay, so I'll pause probably here and there. Okay. what is it about this current job that you know that you're in a lot of alignment with? What can you say to some degree?
Um, it's just the little things. I guess it's people
You get
complaining.
okay, so
That
you
that's
get
a
frustrated.
big thing. Well, because someone does something and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's crazy." I don't that right there, people use that word and it's kind of a trigger word for me because I'm like, to me, crazy would be the whole street is on fire, not that the little trash can is on fire. The whole street, hundreds of houses are on. To me, that's the difference of crazy. People, oh, this little thing is on fire. Okay. And they're just,
Dramatic.
I don't know, dramatic berserk.
Yeah, so
And I'm like, what?
they're emotionally their communication is that it's very much a yang energy, and they don't have emotional regulation, or that is their dramatization of how they're meant to communicate. And I feel like this is a lot of to do with relations as well.
Hmm.
But I feel like the people that, or the person, or however it is, they're not really living as a spiritual being as much as, and you are aware that they're not, because I feel like in a way they talk through their face instead of, so they may be more of an ultra spiritualist that are just moving through the actions instead of actually working on themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm focusing on is why do I have that reaction?
Right.
Because
That's what I'm looking.
I really pay attention to my language and I will even change it. So if we have clients that come into the spa and it's, you know, every hour on the hour someone's coming in, right? Well,
Right.
it can get a little busy if you're trying to clean 5 rooms at the same time people are coming in. So the they're like, "Oh my gosh, it was crazy." Okay, well, what happened? Oh, nothing. He, and I was like, "Oh, the schedule was full. You had a full schedule." Because that's what it was, a full
Right.
schedule.
Okay. So here's an interesting thing. Spirit has just pointed out. So you're at an initiation point, an initiation point. So what I have here is like I said, I made my deck. One of the cards that came up is called the gate. This is a threshold, initiation, the next frequency. When I asked what it's about, it shows me in the soul body that it has to do with the soul light. And I said, okay, as you're speaking, before I could even look anything up, was when I saw these people in my old job that you had,
Hmm.
do you react differently than the job you have now? Because the way people, I feel like you seem to have more authority in this one, and then you were more of the underdog, while somebody else's energy was very dominant and would throw a drama. Do you see the difference? So if you went to
Yeah,
a old job and you saw that behavior, what would your reaction be?
I want to get out of this place.
But you didn't do it. You were there for years. Okay. But you didn't speak up, did you?
Sometimes it was just a waste of energy to say anything, but then
Right.
that put me and then I even had other coworkers. Well, why don't you say something back?
Okay.
And
So if you're in the hotel job and this is them, where were you when that would happen? Would you drop and they would have this? Can you feel the energy being hard and the environment wasn't healthy? Do you understand what I'm saying?
oh
In a
yeah, the
okay,
energy, it was all um just stuck feeling, ucky feeling.
okay,
And I even had new people that came in and they even said to me, "Oh, it's a totally different environment when you're not here."
Right. So this person, these people in that old hotel job, who were they? Who did they remind you of when you were growing up? Can you see that behavior in your family growing up?
Probably just my stepdad.
Okay,
It's
so
that
let's
stupid nonsense talking.
okay. Now you lived with it. You did it for 15 years, and finally you're like, okay, had enough's enough, and you're able to get out and get a different job. Now you've been healing around it, but you're starting to see it in the other job, right? Now, these people that the way they act, maybe they express it a little different, but you're still losing power to the way they react. Yes? So are
Yeah,
you here
last
or are
couple
you
of weeks.
here now? Where
Yeah.
are you in that relationship in the new job when they act this way? Are you here or here?
Well, it would be a lower vibration.
They are lower, but they can be more dominant, just like the other.
Uh-huh.
Now, I think do you have more of a voice in this job? Or are you still reacting and responding if not wanting to say too much?
No, I usually say, "Oh no, it wasn't crazy.
Now, were
The
you able to
schedule
say
is
that?
just full."
Right. Are you
Yeah.
able to say that in your old job?
Yeah, I probably could. She would have rolled her eyes and
Right. So you're getting stronger at having a voice and doing what you need.
hmm
Now, could you ever see your ex being in that, you know, position of whining, drama, controlling?
yeah.
Okay. So you are having this pattern that you need to begin to see. So the question is, you're seeing how they're reacting, but you can also see how you're still believing, giving away your power, and letting it
hmm
irritate you. Okay.
hmm
But you're
And
stronger than you were before.
yeah, and just sitting here and talking about it, it just heaviness just went like this on my head. It's
Very
like,
good. Very good. Now I'm going to find out this particular pattern. And what I want you to do is hold R1S. Okay. Now I'm going to talk for a few seconds while you're holding that, but I want you to feel the physical. And the reason why even if you got another job, you are waking up to this to say, oh, I don't want this in my world anymore because it's so familiar. It so happens that you can't, no matter what you do, you're not going to get away from it, right? And why? Why? Well, you are meant to see this pattern because you were basically born into this pattern. You saw it, you felt it. You made the decision when you were young, from what I can see, is about 7 years old. And one of the things that you were indoctrined in was the language of keeping them around the homestead. Okay. And just feel and think about it. Measure it if you can.
yeah, just sitting here thinking about it, I'm more aggravated.
Right. Because feel how you don't feel safe, secure, stable. There's no serenity. They're starting to feel like insanity. Yes. And there's no freedom. So I want you to hear that there's this language. There's guilt, there's obligation, there's emotional dependency, there's guilt tripping, there's emotional hooks, there's fear, and there's a part of you that don't want to be abandoned. You heard this stuff growing up. The only way you could get your needs met was to be in the situation of saying that is what the language of love is. This is how I know things, right? So when people would be speaking, it seems familiar. So the attraction factor is this is familiar. Now you've had enough with it as being a spiritual person. You're like, I've had enough. But at the same time, you're going to keep being in alignment with it because it ends up being your false self's truth. These are the people I know. This is what they do. Would you recognize yourself if that wasn't in your space?
I don't know.
And
Like, well, this is so weird because right now I just feel like we've already been over this 100 times. I just want to get past this hurdle. Like, this is not the information I want to hear, Brenda. I want to hear what the next step is. I want to just jump over the log and go there. And then I'm thinking, why am I getting so angry with Brenda? Brenda's not doing anything.
very good, very good. So get back to the R1S because your personality, that particular personality, is trying to defend itself. It's not wanting to die.
Well, they don't have to die. They just got to go on vacation for a long time.
They need to just be integrated. Okay. But this personality was so important about how to survive in that environment. It is a fragment of who you are. And, you were at that initiation point where you want to integrate it. And this is where I'd call it, it's the gate. But on a soul body, it's about how can you, let in the soul, the light. You see the light?
I like waved.
Oh, that is funny. Okay, I gotta get this out of here. You know what? I had that so perfect too. Oh, good job. I don't know how that fell. It was tacked in there really well. Okay, that would thank you, Spirit. But feel that that's your identity. You are healthy and strong. I don't want that identity. That identity says, no, no, no. I know how to protect me. Oh,
Right.
I don't like that. Okay. But
Mm-hmm.
use that spiritual being that's going to go, I love you. And you were smart enough to say it out loud and smart enough to be able to say, it has a language. Right. You want me to just fix it, but it's not my job to fix. It's part of that growth. And so when I asked Spirit, I said, so I grabbed these cards and what's this really about with her? Because it's about the job. Because the question is about the job. And, there's a part of you that needs to reclaim your authority and not just tolerate the misalignment. You want to
Mm-hmm.
move towards clarity, which you're like spiritually, like, yeah, I'm all for that. But your ego just showed itself to you. So you can really look and go, oh my God, there it is. And you're like, but I can't let it completely dissolve because I don't know if I have the skill. So you're not quite sure of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting prepared to transist out of that lower frequency. You no longer fit it,
Mm-hmm.
but you haven't decided to really take the energy off it. And that is where you are going to be holding the R1S and hearing the language that you're supposed to take offense to, that you're supposed to get. Why? Because that identity says that's what happened and that's who I am. I am this fragment. And you're like, but that's not necessarily true. Okay, so then I drew the soul body card. And the soul body card is saying that we're looking at the original blueprint. And it's looking at the karmic stories, the pre-incarnation agreements, maintaining your frequency integrity. And it's supposed to help regulate alignment versus misalignment. But it's kind of not doing its job. It's not doing its job because there are four particular things that I found that I continuously teach, and with the tools helps you to go through these stages and the last stages in the soul body where you're meant to feel this integration. But instead, because you're misaligned with your soul body, you feel detached, irritated, and done. But this fragment of who you are, says, I don't want to engage any more of that. I don't want any more of that.
Yeah, it wants to check out and go find something new.
And notice that that is the pattern that kept you safe. You can hear how it wanted to argue and take offense, and then it wanted to be safe. But where did it, how much energy did it invest into, oh, I hear those people, how they behave? That's unacceptable. I don't like it. Now, when you were a little girl and you saw and heard people in your environment, I don't like that. I'm never going to
Mhm.
behave like that.
Yeah.
Okay, now you have to become the little girl and
Hmm.
look at your family and feel how much that bothered you. Oh, look at her. Oh, she
Yeah.
just showed herself.
The little 5-year-old with my great aunt telling
Yeah.
me, you're not supposed to sit on the chair like that.
And feel how this authority that the complaining, the, you know, and that you're supposed to, and you're like, okay, that was scary. Now you develop this other, and it's like, F off. But
Yeah.
just feel the wound, feel the wound.
Yeah,
Okay.
because even when I was 5, I was like, because most adults love me. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, come here, sit on my lap, give me a hug or whatever, And then that aunt was like, that's not ladylike. And all I felt was hate and anger from her.
Yeah, you can feel that resistance, you can, the vector, the intensity, the direction. And that's when you start to develop this personality of, I don't like her. I don't like that. And now take out that energy that they're sending and push it out and put it in the treasure chest. Take back your power because you have to defend yourself. But she took something from you, she squashed something in you.
When I was like visually gathering up the energy or whatever, and then I said I'm taking mine back, I saw like a purple crystal coming back to me.
Okay, good, good. Because I pulled another soul body card and it says the ascension in reverse is that you hit the plateau, stagnation, resisting evolution. Notice that this one, this identity is, I'm going to stay stubborn. I'm not going to evolve. You couldn't hold your ground when she was standing there, but you can when you're inside. Okay? Now take back your power and give it to yourself and look at how you feel like, ah, just feel it. Just feel it. In relationships, feel it. Take back your power and take off their ickiness and put that in the treasure chest. Take off their ickiness. Measure it. See if there's any numbers left.
It's just a 2, 3.
Okay. Now, ego goes, that's okay. You can leave it. No, it's sneaky because this is about you wanting to integrate so it doesn't have to feel. And the attraction factor is to attract these people in. Now, notice that they crossed the territory. Your healthy boundary, placing themselves. What do I mean by placing themselves?
Just
Notice,
making that their voice is louder than mine, or they're higher than I am.
notice how you're convinced that you have to be passive, that you have to obey, that you have to, they're right, no matter what. But they invaded your territory. It wasn't wanted, it was thrown in your space. Feel how like it wants to keep coming back because feel this explosion. So now you're going to imagine that you've gone to work and people are going doing their thing. Feel how your aura sucks that in and goes, oh my God, this is just like so and so. I can't handle it then, and I can't handle it now. And your spirit self goes, what do you mean I can't handle it? Right there, feel that feeling. Yeah, it really gets to you. Yeah. You can measure that. And then notice the little girl going, but I got to police because I know that's wrong. I got to police. I know.
I've also have awareness and noticed, like, when you're walking super fast, like you go into the grocery store and someone's waiting for you out in the car, and so then you like walk super super fast, and then your whole body's tensing up. I notice if I do that, my whole body is like, "Arr!" Like it doesn't want to move. It's like, nope, stop, take a deep breath, one small step, walk slower, and that's been like, I don't know, an alarm or whatever. Hey, hey, wait a minute, what are you doing?
Very
And then
good.
my whole body's like tensing up because I'm like walking super fast or trying to hurry or trying to do 50 things at one time.
Yep, yep. So feel that arrested development just melt. And you're like, yeah, no, I don't have to do this automatic response. And I want you to feel how, notice the feeling or the thought, and then your body starts to go in there and just catch it right now, and just hold it about how it goes. I feel relaxed and I'm feeling intense. Okay, just keep thinking and feeling. Move up to L2D, because you have to exert your power to do what they want, and that's just an auto response. Okay, but feel how it is very aggressive. On it feels like they're going to be aggressive, or you, because you're like, I've had the consequences before, and I've learned as a little girl that if I do this, then I can protect myself, which is what? Hurry. The thing that you said, oh, this works. I want you to address her logical, illogical way of surviving and saying, but we are older now. Have a conversation with her. Oh, keep going. So while you're thinking that, notice how she had to protect herself. She had to minimize their voice. She had to rationalize. She had to deny that that's wrong. Nope, you can't do that. So you're doing the shadow avoidance. Your shadow saying, I don't want to do that. I don't want to integrate. I don't want to become like them. Did you hear how they talk? No, I'm rejecting that. I'm denying that I do that. And I have to minimize the fact that they're emotional. And that's wrong. So you're looking at this conditioned personality pattern of shadow avoidance. You're just like, no, no. But notice how it was important to develop the shadow to survive. Feel how it's like, yeah, but I don't want to let it go. But if you stop minimizing their voice and notice that that's how they yangfully, or they, because they pour outward where you go inward, and you're like, but that's wrong. How do you know it's wrong? Because my 5-year-old says so. But holding space for another, So yes, they may be bleeding, but you also can just hold space without losing power. And as you build that spiritual immune system, you'll learn that it's okay for them to have a voice, and that you can actually can teach them, not teach them by teaching them a lesson, but by going, holding that support, and then saying, calling it what it is. Oh, so you mean it's this? Okay, okay, I got you. But being empathetic,
Discernment,
discernment. Good.
discernment on their voice.
Mhm. And it's, because you were denied so much to have feelings. That's one of the things you picked up from the shadow that said, oh, I can't be this.
And
So that
forgiveness on myself for doing the best I could with the knowledge that I had.
exactly, but exactly, because your cognitive skills wouldn't have been developed. And so you only could do what you understood the best way you can. But you don't have, so notice how you keep repeating the story as you age with
Mhm.
people. And get that little girl to understand that she did no harm, she did no wrong. She did that to survive. And she's like, but I keep seeing it, I keep seeing it. But the soul is saying, can we resolve it now? She minimized your voice. She basically said you don't have a voice, and your behavior I don't like, and I'm going to teach you how to have one, and I'm going to make sure you, and it
Mhm.
bothered you. And so you took off your beautiful self, hid yourself, put up a shadow. This is the only way I get protected so they won't hurt me anymore, is that I police, that I do this. If you're going to minimize me, I'm going to minimize you. Now, you wouldn't do it outwardly, per much, you learn to do it inwardly, but then that starts to hurt you
Mhm.
because it creates this separation. Okay, where are you at?
The right side when I look up is a 0, but when I look to the left, it's 1.
Okay, so let me just look at this. All right, so we're going to look in the middle of the conflict. Well, the conflict is I won't do it. I need to protect myself. And yet at the same time, I'm going to have you look to the upper left and remember whatever image comes up. Remove, transcend, and let go. Now drop down to the lower right and feel the feelings that says I have to have that to protect myself. You had a fresh experience at work. Okay. So now you look to your lower right, and the feelings are saying, I remember this happening when I was a kid. So remove, transcend, let go. Now I want you to go back up to the upper left and say, do you need to hold on to that memory to protect yourself?
No.
All right. So remove, transcend, let go. Now look to the lower left and listen to your inner dialogue just for a moment. Tell me what you hear.
Nothing.
Very good. And you don't have to argue with yourself. You don't have to protect yourself. You don't have to see the enemy. Is that correct?
Correct.
Remove, transcend, let go. Go back up to the upper left. What number is there?
0.
All right. Now you can take your hand down, and what I want you to do is to tap on, take your hand, and I want you to tap. Which one do I want her to tap? I want you to tap L5. Okay. It's right there, at the waist, right in the back. And you're going to be tapping on that while you're thinking of, I'm self conscious. I'm self conscious. Now, you could be self conscious that you're embarrassed, or you can be conscientious that you have to do the right thing. So, there's two type of consciousness type things that are happening. So, remember, L5 is down by the waistline, that down here in the back. Okay, do you want her to do any other spot? Yes, we're going to do one more spot again, but this time you are going, get down from that angle. because this is they crossed the territory, because you literally felt them cross the territory and their energy was been in your space. And as you started to pull that out, now we're going to tap, but I want you to just imagine that their energy is still there. Pull it out further and put it in the treasure chest. Keep pulling it out. Now I want you to feel like you called your energy back. What color is coming back? Because you believed it was true. Just take your power back and put the color back into that area of your spine.
I got orange and purple that time.
Good, good, good. Keep putting it back into your body. Now you can be done tapping and let me just look again. That is very good. The body's like going, oh, I feel a little relieved. You may want to just massage those areas, you know, the little pockets back there next to your spine, and just give it a good massage. And I'm going to look at this. So, you know, these are all done in stages. And that's very good. It's just, so now I'm just looking at something to do with your fear body that, so the fear body says this is where compassion dissolves the shadow. So this is where you're going to have to start saying, thank you, spirit. Because the moment you start to feel your personality begin to pop up, I want you to start doing R2D, because it swears to God the piece is gone. But you don't want to reinstall it. But you then can say, thank you, spirit, and have compassion. Where did I get compassion, or where didn't I get compassion? And what does compassion giving? So this is part of your spiritual investigation about that word. And how would you, so when you grow up and you start having compassion for another, what's it going to look like? Because if you choose to grow up in understanding about compassion, then all of a sudden you don't have to look through that lens and say that you have to police this. So they're emotionally dysregulated. I'm going to, you know, because you're doing your treble basics, you're going to present the energy, the keys and the codes that, oh, how about if we look at it this way? You know, because when you heal, different words will appear so you can communicate better. Is this correct? Have you had that experience before?
Say it again.
When you heal the negative and all of this, then the words that you had change and you actually speak
Yes.
words that you thought you
Yes.
spoke. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. So good. You're witnessing the fact is that your soul is getting better at integrating and having different
Yes.
ways.
And my awareness, because I feel that I do have compassion, because I can see how people are in a program, and
Yeah.
then this little thing, it keeps like knocking me out, and I'm like, what are you?
Right. So
Like,
now we understand what it is, though. And
yes.
it's the program, it's a conditioned program. And as we begin to heal these specific spiritual issues, then you're going to be able to progress further, because I feel like the body then will stop forcing you to go into, hey, this is the way we have to feel, this is the way we have to act. And you're going to go, yeah, no, personality, we don't really need to do that. So your spirit becomes more in charge. Well, thank you very much for coming on. And I know, and again, the way you know, like, hey, I know you got something new there. ah, I notice it's just like just with you. Well, there's maybe a few, but it seems like it's consistent. I'll pull up something new and I'll really get it on paper, and then all of a sudden you present something. Spirit goes, she's asking for the thing you just did, and you're like, oh. Hey, I know. I think I did pretty good with it though. Thank you
Awesome.
so much. It's good to see you, and maybe we'll see you in Tribal Tomorrow. And thank
Yes.
you, Spirit, for helping you grow, and then
Yes.
just kind of realign, and maybe the job doesn't need to disappear.
Right.
All
Yes.
right.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome. We'll talk to you later and
All right.
tomorrow. Bye, hun.
Bye.
Okay. Did anybody learn from that? You know, I have a new lighting situation here going on. There we go. Hopefully, you did learn something from that. All right, Miss Autumn. Now I got to look to see if there was something that you asked for, or did you want Spirit to pick? But we'll see. I got to get back into here. What Spirit wants. Okay. So I may as well continue using the two things that I created. And I should say three things. Um, Okay. So what, how do I want to say this? So Autumn, are you here? Yeah, she's here. So I'm looking at this conditioned personality that you're meant to go through, and it's the emotional dysregulation. The spiraling, shutting down, retaliation, you know, cutting comments, you and you fix my feelings patterns. So the soul is trying to teach you about regulation, but this is more on, I believe, your physical body, because I've seen you in situations where you're like, oh, they're treating me like shit. Okay. And you're not really responding. But I've watched the body also just go, oh my God. And then it can't regulate. So if I go and ask Spirit, can you tell me a little bit more about one of the spiritual issues, which is about emotional regulation, which you have been using a lot of OMG and all of this, but on the physical level, you're learning to have your sovereignty, your mastery, and your truth. And as I look, is it the fear body, the calm body, the joy body, or the soul body? And the soul body says everything clicks into coherence. But in this case, in the reverse from what I think they want me to talk about, is that you feel betrayed, denied, and avoidance. So your body is saying, oh my God, this is what the energy environment is. I want to avoid it, but you can't. Okay. So on a body level, on the soul body level, I think what we need to do is we need to start to really work on that central meridian, not necessarily the tangi pole, but the outer part of the egg. And the body is saying, the body is saying that I'm supposed to, and then the words come up is over concerned. Whether you're supposed to be over concerned and show worry, because that's what they're asking for, or to shut them down, you need them to be over concerned so they'll stop being dysregulated. Okay. So we want to help the body not keep repeating these patterns. We're like, okay, body. So the central is that there's always about this bad feeling, Um, they're using a very specific word, such as infamy. So now this is okay, which is what I did not open that before. So I'm going to look up infamy, and this is part of the course that I'm going to be doing. But infamy meaning a state of well known of being bad, evil, shameful, or the quality of. So if I ask the body, do you feel that people said, oh, this is bad, this is wrong, this is shameful? In the scalar field, I said yours? No. In your mother's, in your families, in the family, okay? You know what this is about? Oh, awesome. They said if you can start doing R2D, because the pressure of what they thought just started eating away at your mother. And she just couldn't do it again, couldn't do it again. And because the epigenetics gets passed, and you show more of your growth, that you have emotional regulation, but there are times that the body and says, no, I'm not emotionally regulated. And so it is copying what your mother would do. She shuts down. Her personality is, I just can't cope and handle with this. And so the more you start doing right wrist, second position deep, and you're thinking, okay, I've seen my mother emotionally do this, or I've seen how this person is emotionally dysregulated affects this person. and how easy it is to shut down because it's like you can feel it, you can measure it. You're like, ah, just keep doing the R2D, okay? Um, because the body is saying, where'd my happy go? Then there's this cute little song that is all over the internet, you know, and you're tapping here and you're tapping here. I don't remember the name of the song, but it's to do with my cells are happy and well. I got happy cells. I got happy cells that are well. There's a whole song that goes with it, and I don't remember it offhand. But during my trip, it was like, okay, started singing about how my cells are happy because, you know, why should I sit there and program? It's like, oh my God, I got to do this. It's cold. Or I got to walk here. I got to do that. You're being in charge of it. Oh, okay. You did. Hold on. Give me 1 second to find where you have sent that. Oh, yeah, you are right. They're hoping that if they're loud enough, then you'll get past your stubbornness. So these are her fears that she's projecting out. Oh, okay. So there is a pattern of that repeating thing. And so when you begin to feel their emotions really trying to hover, and you're like, no, but the body's taking the hit, I want you to feel that with R2D as well. You're like, this is theirs, this is theirs, this is theirs. Feel that vector, feel that energy, the direction. Feel how fast or slow or heavy or light. Get into how your senses shape it. Okay? Because you're like, I'm fine, but the body thinks that it has to obey, or the body thinks. But that yes, I agree with you on that. Okay, hon? I said, is there anything else? And they go, no, right now it is learn to just keep also learning to zip this as often as you can. Okay. All right. I'm going to check to see if anybody else has. Nope, nobody else has. And but again, if you'd like if you're new here, and you want a free reading, I will give you a free reading. If you are, let's see, how are we doing? Okay. I'm trying to figure out what this is. Is this cough? Is it mine? No. It's the quality of the environment for everybody. Me? Someone else? Hmm. I think this goes along with, it could be with anybody that feels deficient, is what I'm feeling. When your body goes, I feel deficient. So the environment gets heavy. Yeah, you go ahead, Davin. Go ahead. Ask the question that you've got, honey. But I feel like this deficiency is like, I can't do anymore. But you may not be using that language, but you can feel this loss, this vibration drop. And if anybody is doing that, start doing R1S, because this is in relation to the energies that you've called out, or you've pushed out, or you used. And so you're having this karma effect to some degree. So R1S, and then call your energies back to you. Notice the colors. Pick yourself up off the floor is the healing tool from my website. But just sit there with grabbing R1S. Yeah. And just kind of balancing out your karma. So call your energy back to you and just hold that point and feel and feel. Oh, yeah, I remember that time that I yelled and had, just go through the list, get it down to 0, but feel, feel, feel. Just don't give excuses and reasons. That stops you from healing. Devin says, she says, okay, she wants to connect with waking up and felt scared or sick. And I got confused of how I felt. She says, I woke up, my feet were moving, and I don't move in my sleep. I think that might have scared me. So you normally just lay still? And so your feet were moving. Okay, so I'm just going to, you just have to think of that night for me. Okay. And then once you do that, then I can. So I feel a reenactment that you were testing the boundaries around people. And I said, so what did this dream kind of consisted of? And it was learning to expand the importance of myself. And I said, okay, which one do you feel that you haven't really developed much here on earth? And they said the emotional body. And I would like them to know more about emotions. And I said, okay. But I'm beginning to understand, and this is what your body, I feel like in that dream, was that I felt like I was being disapproved of. And as I felt disapproval, I could feel my body being stressed of wanting to run away. I said, is that what made your feet move? The environment made my feet move. Okay. What was the stressor, the thing in the environment? And that is, I noticed that my happy was gone. When I felt people feel emotionally dysregulated, and I felt this communication of people like, do you have people in your family that don't really know how to clarify what it is that's bothering them? So they'll hint, or they'll use sarcasm, or they will be in conflict, or they talk in circles, because this environment feels very strong. And so you want clarity, you want to know why. And I feel like your body and you were working out a particular exercise in your soul saying, well, we got to work on this issue. And because, you know, we take the stuff that we do in life, we go back into our dreams. And I said, give me a little bit more. And the body's saying, oh, I don't like being stagnant anymore. I can't emotionally connect with what I want. People tell me what I'm supposed to emotionally connect with, what I'm supposed to do, but I don't know how to connect with it. I said, oh, and I said, what do you mean? Well, you feel people very rigid, and in a way, you would like them to soften up to some degree. And when you feel like your happiness is gone, it's because you want to avoid their flare ups. And I'm thinking this has to do with your family. And even though you want to be your own boss and you want to do your own thing, I feel like they still feel they have the authority to keep telling you again and again and again until you get it through your head. And the body, from what I can feel, is saying, I need to run. I need to run. I feel like your body wants to be in run mode. So your body's talking differently than your head and your emotions. Does that make sense? I feel like you're around self-centered people. Their behavior causes a certain way of showing up every time. And if I said, like, so they excessively focus on their own needs without and desires and experiences while struggling to consider your perspective. Oops, let me think. The shelter, I was the only volunteer and they told me what to do and I didn't like that. Okay. So you are aware. Yes, it is. You are your did you want to volunteer or were you forced to volunteer? When you do things that you're experimenting and you're like, yep, don't like to be told what to do, this is you experiencing life. And this is your soul saying, okay, I need to heal this because it shows up as an issue. And I said, so why is it you don't like being told what to do? And that is because the people you see that do it remind you of what you grew up with. I wanted to, but I didn't expect to be the only volunteer helping the cats. Okay. As you looking that you're the only one helping, do you feel, remember it's a mirror, did your parents, mother, sister, anybody feel like, well, why am I the only one doing it? Because you picked up a pattern from 0 to 7, and now you're feeling and acting and being what you learned how to be because you picked it up at a very young age. Anybody else in your family that's saying, well, why am I doing it all by myself? Why am I the only one? Why? Do you understand what I'm saying? So your body is saying, I'm putting myself in positions again to grow, but I don't want to do this. Okay, yeah. So you're meant to, if you're going to be hanging out with me, you are going to be healing out how you lost power because you're doing the behaviors of what others are doing, but that doesn't fit who you are. So this is where I would tell you, listen to the language, even though it's like, well, why am I doing it? Why am I the only one doing it? But I want you to see, as you're holding left wrist, second position deep, that energy, that behavior, that sound that came from your family that you thought this is how I'm supposed to act when it happens to me. They're whining. They are complaining about something. Do you get it? So you're going to be healing out the monkey see, monkey do. Because you're like, but I don't want to be acting this way. So you're like, well, I don't like being told what to do. You also saw that and picked up how you don't like being told what to do. But this again, you're going to look at how your family, and this is going to be different, is R1D, right wrist, first position deep, about, I don't like being told what to do. You're going to look at your family and you're going to see how they act, and you're going to be say, oh, I know that, or I understand that, but it's in this feel that creates this movement that makes you think this way or be this way. That's what I need to do to address and to measure on the scale from 0 to 10. Does that make sense, Davin? Because again, spiritual issues can be addressed. Yeah. Thank you for your question. Hopefully it made sense to you. Go and heal, Devin. You're ready for the next step of growth. Just start to really look at those pictures, measure the pictures, feel the feels, notice the direction, the intensity, and you got 2 positions that you can be working with. Okay. Now I'm going to go get my next guest, and let me check here. And I gotta go find her here. Lordy B, where is she at? There we go. I just wasn't sure what the heck I was feeling because it didn't feel physical or something. Yeah, it's a sensing. It makes itself exist, but not basically is an emotion as much as a pattern, a strategy. And you're like, but when you begin to see them and you using the tool to move the energy through, it will make more sense. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, I did hear you. I might have to turn it up a little bit.
I had to
Okay.
turn my
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Hi, how are you and how can I help you?
I'm good. It's been an interesting, 3 weeks?
Okay. And so your soul is having you on a lesson.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. So to today's show, as we talked, did it bring any insight?
It did. It's like I am understanding a little bit deeper of why things were happening the way that they were happening and how I sabotage myself when I like go to do something and just before I get to the end, either my body says, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to finish this," or I get hurt. All of these things happen, and it's like, okay, I want to break this program.
Okay. So as you start noticing as you're getting to your end goal, you physically got hurt, you said.
Mm-hmm.
So as I look at this and I say, out of all of these characters, we have conflict and communication patterns. So part of what's going on in this month is about standing in two personalities and you're in the in between and there's no integration.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So the old one is going to stay. I'm going to stay in charge, says the fragment. And the other one is, but I don't want to. I want to integrate. And so the one that's refusing to integrate, these are fragments that says, I have to protect myself. So we have issues with safety, security, stability, sanity, serenity, and space, and freedom. Now, the environment is not now, but you have to see the emotional baggage that you have to unpack because those personalities, those aspects cannot integrate because it's just like death. You can't take your material stuff into the spiritual realm. You can't bring that emotional shit shows, emotional baggage, these are personalities into the integration. Integration means you have to take the wisdom out of it to grow.
Mhm.
So if I
Yep.
ask out of the 8 particular categories of conditioned personalities, you have 6 and 4 that are in conflict. So 6 would be your identity roles, and you want to get more to your authentic self. And 4 is an emotional dysregulation. It is how do you regulate your emotions? Now, as I begin to look at you're trying to wake up to your authentic self, but the identity is saying, but you don't know I exist. So were you able to watch April Lynn's one?
Uh-huh.
And did you notice anything?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going through. Yeah.
Okay. And this personality, and notice how she was brave enough to say, this is how her thoughts were to me. Now, notice I didn't have to take offense because she knows it's not about me. It's about how that pattern of repetition has been in the past. So the emotional dysregulation has a lot to do with I am my mom and dad. I have to respond, behave like mom and dad because that's what a grown up does. Okay. Your spiritual
Mhm.
self saying, no, no,
Yeah,
no, you
no.
cannot be your authentic self and come into this relationship. So now we have to look at the behaviors or strategies that your parents did. So they were more or less always in society. So society
Mhm.
in a way
Yep.
has influenced who they are and what they are. And with that, you said that they were hairdressers. So hairdressers have to have stories.
Mhm.
And did they complain?
Yeah.
So to connect with people, they would have to complain and whine. Were they necessarily having to whine, or was it that they necessarily needed to communicate? So, you know,
It was more of a need for communication, and that's all they really knew was to complain and bitch and
okay,
moan about
right. So that was
everybody
the
else.
error of who they were supposed to be. But when you grow up, do you want that?
No.
So when you grew up, as you grow up, how did they use their rationalization, or when somebody would be sick? She had a
Um,
sick brother.
like my brother got all of the attention, and my healthy brother and I, we didn't get any attention.
And when she couldn't handle any more than the sick brother, what would she say or do to you and your older brother so that you would learn to take care of yourself because her hands are already full?
Um, dismiss questions, dismiss concern, just dismiss us.
Okay, and minimize that it's
Hmm.
not real, because she emotionally couldn't handle it, or it's because she's like, what was her reasoning?
I think she just couldn't emotionally handle it.
Okay, so you picked up, I emotionally can't handle it, and I'm also supposed to minimize and dismiss
Yeah,
other.
and I think her nerves were always on edge.
Okay, so you've learned that you're supposed to be emotionally on edge.
Hmm.
Do you want to be that when you grow up?
No,
So she's already grown up. Why am I asking that statement? Because she spiritually is growing up. Is that correct?
that is correct.
So, so I'm watching my phone and it says I'm supposed to put the puzzle piece in, but the lag is so bad, delay is so bad that. So, would you say that you have a lag of your personalities?
I think so.
All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab L2S and notice that your mom taught you to shut down when anybody else is having health issues, life crises, because that's what she did. If she couldn't handle anymore, she'd shut down. But is that a good trait to do to people? Did you hear
No,
my
it's not.
question? No, it's not. Where else? Who else has learned it in your family? Because now you're older, your parents have moved on. Somebody else has to be the stand-in. Who else would do that?
My brother.
Okay. And you always took that that's how they are, and so you had to have to walk on eggshells, leave the room, um, make yourself happy somewhere else. Yes or no?
Hmm. Yes.
Okay. Just feel it. Yeah, this is so misaligned. I'm going to have to shut it off and start it again. So tell me the process, what's going in your head?
So I heard something about orange. Um, I'm not sure what that was, but it was like very prominent, something about orange. Um, so
Oh,
I wonder if that's about relationships in the second chakra.
Okay. So she's over there spiritually thinking this is what it is. It's funny. I made this phone die. It never dies. I made this phone be completely lagged. So if I read the signs correctly, you have no battery, you have no juice, you have no way to feel like you are aligned. So I think your fragment self is using a lot of your energy. So your prefrontal cortex that creates reality is saying that I'm supposed to. Who wouldn't put up with it anymore? Because when you're around your brother, you put up with it. But because you're around somebody that's nice and lovable, you're like, I'm not putting up with it anymore. Yeah. So okay, Facebook shut down. Isn't that funny? But see, that's what you learn. When I grew up, this is what I'm going to look like. All right, I'm not turning back on those two. You could say they're technical difficulty, but they're also a sign from what I can see. What people can't see is that Ayme is here as my guest, and she's working on how this is who I'm supposed to be when I grow up, and this is my mom and dad. This is how I'm supposed to handle when people go through these spiritual issues or these life situations, and I'm supposed to treat them this way. Some people I'm supposed to be the opposite, and this is what we're in as far as perspectives. So when I had worked with April Lynn, you can look back on another video, and what it is that how were you in one situation, and then all of a sudden you have a little bit more strength and power in the next situation. So when you're with family, you would be, oh my God, here we go again. And then you would tra-la-la-la to avoid, to, get out of a line of fire. Whereas somebody else that's not like that behavior, but yet is to some degree, because you have to see what you know. And not only that, you also had it. So I see another personality that says, I've had it, I'm done. And I just know how to shut down, how to, and what? It's okay to bleed all over. It's okay to not participate. But it also rains on the parade of other people.
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a F about them?
Yeah.
And when that happens, it sucks the life out of the room. And then you are able to control it to make it go your way. So there's benefits to behaving. Your whole life was about that. Yes? Looks like you got a hole in your heart. Look at that shadow. Kind of just don't jerk your body, just look up a little bit. Notice that your t-shirt, you moved. You didn't see it. It looked like you had a hole in your heart. That's a sign. But these are behaviors. This is how we survived. Nothing wrong with them. But they are very much the things you can't see that you have to learn to see. And when you grow up spiritually, you got to decide that you have to take accountability, and that do you want to use this behavior to cope, handle, deal, and process? Do you want this behavior so you can get your controlled end result? See, you got a hole in your heart. Look right there look into the camera. Oh, no, you moved again. There, see it? Okay, so that's metaphorically. But you don't want to be an ultra spiritualist. You don't want to do just enough of spirituality and say that you're healed. There is a process, and this is the ugly part. These are the parts that need to be addressed if you're really going to be doing spirituality. There's the beginning stages, and then once you've been in it, these are the big ones that you have to take accountability. No more spiritually bypassing. It is to see what you can't see that the others would see. Why? Because everybody makes fragment selves and be misaligned, and you're meant to bump up and smash and challenge and to grow in an ego sense, but also in a spiritual sense. Hopefully, you guys are understanding this. So,
Okay, I just heard you can't do it that way anymore, and that's okay.
it's very good. Let's see where you're at. Okay, now I think you will have to learn to tell people. Do you feel like it's zero? Do you feel like what is it?
I do.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you that the next phase of what you got to do has everything to do with the scalar field. So you have to learn skill. Okay, you have to learn some skills, spiritual skills. And you are moving out of the 4 archetypes. And you have to do skills with this. And then, like the martyr, you're going to have to do some spiritual homework or soul work. The martyr, do you need to keep doing that? What is the 2, oh my God, extremes? What is the wisdom with this? When you look at the child of many faces and you're looking at it, they have shadows and they have positive attributes. But there's the wisdom that says, I want to be my authentic self. That means I have to outgrow this. You have the victim and the saboteur. Again, learn what those are, and you need the wisdom to move out of it. Does that make sense? Okay. So what wisdom are you getting out of today's show? And so that you can say, wait a minute, I need to check myself at the door and start seeing when I act this way.
That a lot of what I need to do is actually catch what's going on in my head before it comes out of my mouth.
So this is the automatic program. And when you begin to spiritually wake up and realize your auto program and what it sounds like, you can take notes and you can heal it out. But remember the one incident where all of a sudden I'm sitting there and you are in your head and it comes flying out of your mouth. And you remember my response to the point where your spirit goes, whoops.
Yeah.
Explain to people that they can begin to catch themselves even while they're going through a live experience of this negative, unhealthy conditioned personality.
So, I think that when we were getting on the ferry, right?
Oh, okay. I don't
That
know.
one?
Well,
That's the one that popped into my head.
all right. Well, that's the one we're going to be talking about. But there was something about, I was just sitting here and you started to throw that energy at me. And I'm like, that's okay. Talk about this one.
So we were getting on a ferry and we had to use a card, and what I saw was it looked like there was negative $3.03 or something. But that wasn't true, but that's all that program could see. And I started pitching a fit and throwing energy, and Brenda looked at me and she like just walked away. And normally people never did that. And I was like, well, wait, no. So I called all of that energy back. And we had a good day after that. I caught that the program or the ego was throwing energy, and I called all of that energy back to me by just saying, I call all of me back to me several times. And it dissipated the energy photon footprint so nobody else would trip over my energy.
Right. And did it help you because you kind of labeled it, caught it? Did it help change the way you're thinking so you didn't have to keep going there?
Yeah.
Okay. So you did it several times, and so the pattern is that you're starting to see what you can't see. And you've done,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, several times where you'll just go there, you'll get in your head, and all of a sudden you start being this program. And we're trying to figure out how to tiptoe around you so that you don't go off and go further. But at the same time, I'm not going to entertain this because you want me to give you a response. And one time I almost did. I started giving you the response because I couldn't handle that anymore. And then I walked away. I took my power back and I just put yours in the treasure chest and then said, we're just going to self correct. There was that particular walk where you went, little, I'm in charge. That's it. I'm right. You're wrong. And we're like, okay. But you've done, so you're starting to notice.
Mm-hmm.
But don't forget, it's not so that you can keep reinstalling it. It's because you need to see how it hurts other people. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the process that's important. And these are the wanting to get back to your authentic self, but you have to look at these identity roles.
Yeah. And that's the uncomfortable part, but I know I have to look at those.
Right.
And
And so,
that's what people don't want to do. They don't
right,
want to look at the uncomfortable stuff, but that's what we need to do in order to really come into our authenticity.
right. And it's that uncomfortable stuff that we want to deny because we're trying to save ourselves from it. But
Mm-hmm.
telling a person isn't to hurt them, but it is to help them be awake. So in this case, your physical body has done a lot of complaining and it told you how you feel, but it also told you how the outcome is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so your physical body has more control over you than you have over it. Why? And so then the spiritual investigation would be, what is it serving me? How is it serving me to have certain issues like this? Do I have to punish myself? Or is this my way of getting out of things? Or is this the only way I know how to communicate because I'm trying to avoid what's going on in the environment? There's so many questions to, why is the physical body doing what it's doing? Now, one thing is that it can talk in circles. And that fragment part can be in charge. And as
Mm-hmm.
we were lifting weights yesterday, I said to you, I says, do you want to lift weights? And we got to get back in the routine because it's been a month. Your body said, what?
No, I'm not sure I can. But
Yeah.
I pushed through that and I did.
Before she pushed through it, her auto response personality was, and she let it think, the auto response, oh, I'm too weak. I don't think I can. So it's giving you conclusions that you're already carrying about the fact you feel it. But then you stopped, and as I think I said, well, you hurt yourself, and now you're using that as a crutch, not in a crutch that in the way you're probably thinking, but it's like I saw my mother on crutches, and she didn't do physical therapy. And so she went from crutches to a walker, but she wouldn't do physical therapy. And physical therapy is what we learn is that immediately after surgery or this and that, you are meant to do what?
PT, physical therapy, move it.
Right. And so you had fallen and it doesn't require physical therapy, but yet it does because you can
Mm-hmm.
develop a mental crutch. And the body will say, well, yeah, here's my excuse because I really don't want to do it. But you switched and thought, no, I do want to do it. So that had to be your AY and your spiritual self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was a quick turnaround. And then you started to go in and we have to warm up and you can't go at the level you ended with. You have to go back because your body will do atrophy. And did you surprise yourself?
I did.
How? Because you had a mental
Um,
framework at prison that said you couldn't.
so I started back at just the 25-pound bar and I did 10 reps of that. And then we upped it to 35. I did 5 reps of that. And then we upped it to 45, and I did two times of 5 reps of that. And that's what surprised me, because I didn't think that I would be able to lift that much.
And your body is more amazing. That's what your takeaway is. Your body can do more, but it tells you can't. You know, you could only thought, oh, I can only walk 1 or 2K, and you did 12.
Hell, we walked 20.
I think it was about 15, but yeah. The point is that have you learned yet? The body is more remarkable and remarkable. There's another
It
word.
is.
Because
It is.
it always makes you healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you had cancer, your body said, no, 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 no. And you went through the whole thing. The body recovered. You have come off of how many drugs that your doctor said, oh, you're
13, 14.
Yeah, and your doctor said, you're doing something right. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But the body can heal itself. The body is amazing. It's the mental prisons that we put ourselves in, because we don't want to face the rawness, the environment, the things that we took part in. But taking accountability, healing the emotions so they won't stop you, changes the mental thoughts so that you don't have to be stuck in the arrogance and the ignorance of spiritual ignorance to what's going on. But allowing yourself to go, oh, and it'll hurt. Now, if anybody else in ego land gave it, it would hurt like hell. And it's still going to hurt when it comes from somebody that's talking about spirituality. But at the same time, there can be a discussion that can be had, not to beat yourself up or to want to go into pilot and run away, but it is when you get past it and your spiritual self goes, I need to be accountable that it did show up.
Mm-hmm.
When I grow up, do I really want to keep being that?
No, I don't.
And that's the difference. I appreciate you coming on today's show. That was good. And thank you for all your help.
You're welcome.
What was your main takeaway from today?
You don't have to believe your own BS is my number one takeaway from any healing, any teaching, but also that our bodies are stronger than we think they are.
And we have programs
And
that are so conditioned that we can't see them.
right, we can't see our programs.
But they're nothing to be ashamed of.
No, it's not.
Very good. Very good. Okay. We will see you tomorrow in Tribal. And thank you so much for coming on. And we'll talk to you later. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye. I hope you got something out of today's program. And I hope you were able to see a little bit more deeper with spirituality. And we don't need to spiritually bypass. We may think that we have to go through the tough parts and that we made it through and we responded differently. But if you don't take care of the emotional root, the addictive chemical from the emotions that keep you repeating and saying and doing the same stories as the past, then you're never going to be able to soulfully grow. You have to move beyond spiritual arrogance, spiritual ignorance, and be aware that your tone, your what do you call it, gestures, or your this is the way I'm going to have conditioned personality patterns so that I can survive. You're not the survival part anymore. You are a spiritual human, and you can heal, resolve to evolve, heal instead of deal. Those particular shadows and littles that are asking to be addressed and loved, but it's time to heal because integration is important, but you can't bring the baggage. And when you can't bring your baggage and you are forcing yourself to bring that with you in the spiritual sense, you are going to keep bumping up against issues, limitations, and you're going to live out two sides of your face. You're not going to wake up to notice that you are the problem or that your definitions are the problem, or that your patterns of survival are the problem. Now, we're not blaming, but as a spiritual being, as you wake up as a human, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's this or better. And if you're looking at this and thinking it's the outside and you're still hurt and you have to use control mechanisms to survive, you are not being your authentic self. You are being your over-identification. You're being the ego, the electromagnetic guiding omnivorous apparition. Your spirit over-identified with energy, matter, and giving it definition and making it so real for you and for you alone. Because you didn't know how to process. I'm here to help you that in this day and age, using the body, using the ability to focus, seeing that you can be the third option, can actually begin to help you soulfully grow. So, yes, there is, my dearest ones, my dearest spiritual humans, there is spiritual issues, and they are time for us to address them along with using the tools so that we can create growth. Time to unpack our emotional baggage and stop believing our own BS. So I'm going to check one more time to make sure nobody else has paid or has spoken to me. Two of my media things have shut down for whatever reason, and I think it looks good. We're checking the rooms. Thank you all for coming. Remember to like, share, follow, comment. If you like this, you can more than welcome to support me. Just send it as through PayPal as love donation for keeping, and let me know. This is to keep this movement going. With your support and your help, we can help others to achieve happiness again. There goes my voice. All right. Thank you so much for today. Let me just get this. You're already blessed and you're already whole, so stay happy. I can't even remember my phrase. Do you guys remember my phrase? All I can say is hashtag thank you, Spirit. You're already blessed and whole, so stay happy. And no, that's not it. Stay blessed and happy healing. Yeah, that's it.